Christ followers or little Christ. The word Christian was actually originally a derogatory term, a sarcastic term. But they hate us because they hate Jesus. It's actually quite clear in our text, verse 18. It says, if the world hate you, you know that it hated me, that's Jesus talking, before it hated you. Verse 23, he that hateth me hateth my Father also. So there's a lot of animosity towards Jesus. You read the Gospels and they hate Jesus, right? That's one of the most clearest things from reading all of the Gospels, is that those to whom he came hated him. What were the results of their hatred? Well, they rejected him, right? He came with a message, with an offer, and they rejected their Messiah. People are still rejecting Christ today. Ultimately, they persecuted him. Verse 20, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will persecute you. They persecuted Christ. How many times did they try to kill Christ before they actually did it? Multiple. They argued with him. Ultimately, their hatred of Jesus led. Why did they hate Christ? If those four things, the rejection, persecution, execution, and condemnation, are the results of their hatred, what were the reasons for their hatred? Well, Christ actually tells us. Look at verse 20. It says, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. Verse 22, if I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not sinned. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hateth me hateth my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not sinned. But now they have both seen and hated both me and my Father. So the reason they hated Jesus points out to us, is twofold. Number one, his words. He says in verse 24, if I had not... verse 22, if I had not come and spoken unto them, they would not have recognized their own sins. So Jesus came, his words, which were unique, revealed how repetitive they actually were. His words, which were revealing, revealed how sinful they were. So they hated Jesus for his words, they hated him for his works. Verse 24, if I had not done among them the works which no other man had did, they had not sinned, but now they have both seen and hated both me and my Father. So his works, which validated his words, they hated also. His works, which were powerful, proving he was who he claimed to be. His works, which were compassionate, which revealed how judgmental they actually were. And his works, which were consistent. Jesus practiced what he preached, didn't he? And so they hated Jesus. They hated Jesus, and it resulted in their rejection of him, their execution of him, persecution of him, and their own condemnation. They hated him because of his words and how it revealed who they actually were. They hated Jesus because of his works and how they validated what he said. But when they chose to reject Christ and hate Jesus, it resulted in another hate that they themselves maybe didn't recognize, and that is they hate the Father. They hate the Father. They would say, what are you talking about? We love God. You know, these are the religious leaders. They believe that they were serving God. But in all reality, they live their lives in hatred of the Father. Verse 23, he that hateth me hateth my Father also. You can't hate Jesus and love God, can you? Doesn't work that way. Jesus said, I and my Father are one. The Father is the one that sent Jesus. The Father is the one that Jesus submitted himself to. You can't hate Jesus and love the Father. You can't. It was true then, and it's true now. But there are people that attempt this still today, right? Say, what do you mean? How many people say, well, I believe in God, but I don't know about this whole Jesus thing? You don't believe in Jesus, you don't know God. You may believe in a God, but you don't believe in the God of reality. You can't reject Jesus and accept God. What was the results of their hatred of the Father? Well, the same as with Christ. Rejection, persecution, execution of Christ, condemnation. These things they did because they hated Jesus and resulted in the relationship or lack thereof of the relationship with the Father. But there's another result besides the ones we already talked about with Christ of their hatred of the Father that I think is important. One result of their hatred of the Father was self-deception. You see, they thought that they knew God, but in reality they were very far from him. Excuse me. They thought that they knew God. They thought that they kept everything in line. They thought that they had all their T's crossed and I's dotted when it came to God, but they had no relationship with him. This kind of self-deception is still very common in the human race. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it till the day I die. The easiest person in the world to lie to is yourself. We can convince ourselves of anything, can't we? Do this because, and we give ourselves that special exemption, right? The chief kind of self-deception is pride. Pride. And on a smaller scale, this can still be present in believers. We need to be active in killing pride in our lives and in our hearts. Why did they hate the Father, whom they claimed to serve? I mean, isn't there a great irony in that? That they hated God, whom they claimed to serve? How could they hate him? Well, look at verse 21. But all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. The reality is, they didn't actually know the Father. They didn't know the God that they claimed to serve. There was no relationship. There was no connection. And ultimately, verse 23, he that hateth me, hateth my Father also. You hate the Son, you will hate the Father. You can't separate.